Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namaste. Here is an audio story of Narada Muni. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada writes in his commentary of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the immediate spiritual master is the representative of Narada Muni. There is no difference between the instructions of Narada Muni and those of the present spiritual master. He also describes Narada as the father of devotional service. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes how Narada became such a renowned devotee. The story begins with his previous 2 lifetimes. Narada had previously been born as a Gandharva, a singer from the heavenly planet. His name was Upabhahana, and he had a beautiful voice and handsome features. He became a playboy and lost all spiritual perspective in his life. One day he attended a grand festival arranged by the residents of the higher planets. He performed kirtan, chanting the holy names of God. Then he began glorifying the demigods. The devotees present took this action as a great offence, as Sankirtan is meant for the glorifying of the Supreme Lord. The devotees cursed Upabhahana to be born in his next life as a Sudra, devoid of any beauty. Narada immediately took birth as the son of a maidservant. His mother was pious and had the good fortune to serve travelling sages, and thus her young son also had this opportunity. The sages gave him remnants of their food, and he also listened to them speak about the Supreme Lord. In the purport of the Bhagavad Gita 9.2, Narada, who happened to be the son of a maidservant, had no education, nor was he born in a high family. But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes, in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narada personally says, "Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me." The young boy became uninterested in playing like other boys. He meditated on the Supreme Lord. Then when he was 5 years old, his mother died. Being an orphan, the boy left home and became a wandering mendicant himself. Narada Muni describes this to his disciple Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 6. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking, I started for the north. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. Thus travelling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry, so I took a bath in a river lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the supersoul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned from the liberated souls. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, with my mind transformed in devotional love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared on the lotus of my heart. O Vyasadeva, at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. The transcendental form of the Lord, as it is, satisfies the mind's desire, and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up, being perturbed, as it is usual when one loses that which is desirable. I desired to see again that transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him any more, and thus dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved. Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words, just to mitigate my grief. The Lord said, O Narada, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me any more. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. O virtuous one, you have only seen me once, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. Then that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head. Then I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I travelled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. And Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death, as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruit of results of work, karma, stopped. So that was the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.6. When the material world was again created, Narada was born from the mind of Brahma as his son. Narada then tells Vyasadeva, at the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing. After 4,300,000,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, and all the rishis like Maharishi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. That was also from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.6. The Linga Purana describes that Krishna awarded Narada Muni with a veena, which he plays as he traverses the universe, singing the names of God. Narada explained to Vyasadeva, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord, and thus I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound, and which was given to me by Lord Krishna. Narada Muni is the spiritual master of Vedavyas, and he is also the spiritual master of many great sages, such as Valmiki, Dhruva Maharaj, King Setraketu, and of course, Mugari the Hunter. Narada Muni appeared in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Srivas Thakur, and it was in the courtyard of Srivas that Lord Chaitanya inaugurated the Sankirtan movement of chanting and dancing. Narada Muni was also part of many of Krishna's pastimes, such as when he visited Rukmini and described Krishna. Upon hearing these descriptions, she completely gave her heart to Krishna and refused to marry Shishupala. Krishna kidnapped her and fought her brother Rukmini. All of that because she heard Narada Muni speaking and describing about Krishna. All glories to Narada Muni.